did it. Welcome to the show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I am your host, not Simon, JL. Better host. Always better host. Joined, as always, by Josh and our very special guest today, Matt Donnelly, co-creator of Dynasty Vipers and good friend of the show. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good here. So the one thing I already know off the get-go is we're going to keep the pun jokes to the side. No Simon Says jokes.
Thank you.
No going to the John jokes. You know, I know we know what's going on that. I caught the show last week with Tara.
They were just joshing around. You can make pun jokes, no problem.
Here we go.
That was terrible.
No, it was. But you know, you threw in the John, you threw in the Simon. I know JL and Simon do not like it very much, but I'm fine with it.
Josh is all about it.
Around all
Josh
the time.
Is here for it. Yes.
Well, see, some of us, it's just natural for some of us because, like, I'm on dad joke like all the time. There's no turning
on that
it off.
Level.
If you missed the one part of my introduction where Peter Schrager actually said that Philip Rivers was the Canadian Matt Donnelly. I've got like 12 kids here, so dad joke is turned on all the time.
Never turns off.
Never comes off.
How many kids? You got like 13 kids?
Yeah, something like that. I think we're at 12 right now. Yeah.
You got a lot.
Wait, that's too many kids.
Only 9 or something in the house right now. It varies. It's all over the place. But yeah, I've got grandkids, 3 grandkids already too. So you name it, we go. The dad joke is 100 with me all the time.
Yeah, always got to keep that dad joke on fleek. We got David in here. What's the setting on this one? Superflex Dynasty. Yep, we're doing a Superflex Dynasty mock draft today. It's mock draft Monday. We've been off. I guess we did mock draft Tuesday last week, I believe.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, with your co-hosts, Matt, Tara.
It went very well.
It did, and we're moving back to mock draft Monday. Man, what are people going to do in season if we don't do these mock draft Mondays?
I say we just do it. You know, just
just keep it going.
We'll see when we get there, I guess, huh?
Josh, you said something the other day in like a group chat, Simon and I, and you were like, I never thought about this, but these mock drafts are going to make me really good this year. Like, this is actually going to really improve my game because I've been mock drafting every
I was thinking about, it was a couple months ago, but us doing mock drafts literally every Monday and just like, we're kind of like just part of the mock draft. Like, we don't even have a lot of time to think. We just have to act because it's like kind of on the show while we're talking to people. Right. I really think once it comes around the draft season, we are going to be so set. And just that's advice for anyone. You know, mock drafts are going to make you better at fantasy.
Yep, build it into your routine.
Drafting.
It's funny they mentioned, like, Mike Tayson always had that saying, everyone knows how to mock draft until they get punched in the mouth. And I remember doing all these mock drafts. I'm sure you guys have done these too at the SFB, right? The SFB, we get in on these mock drafts. We're in there. We think we're smart. We think we know what's going on. And then also we get into the SFB and we're getting that live draft and it ain't going nothing like you mock. Like,
exactly.
And that's why I love it because you look at the mock draft we got going on today, you got some people in the industry, some fans, however you want to look at it. All it takes is that one person to kind of slide something different. All of a sudden, someone's going to, Scott Fish is tuning in here right now. Someone's going to throw a kicker in the first like 4 rounds just to throw a wrench in it. Someone's going to take a Matt Barkley in the first round by accident. Something like that's going to happen. So you have a plan. These mock drafts are absolutely the best strategy is not to have a strategy and to be like Bruce Lee and just kind of like move like water.
Exactly.
I'm all about that.
Scott in here assisting us with the countdown here. 23, 22, 21. I like it. Thank God we have you, Scott, or else we wouldn't be able to count. Sean, what's up, Sean?
So happy you got in, Sean.
So glad you got in. It's been a while. Oh my God, Anthony with the hashtag Team JL. Welcome. You're the first one. You're the first one here. You're the first one here.
Hey, I'm Team JL too.
Hey, second one here.
Hey, look, we are seeing the stages of beard growing. Here we go. Look at that.
We are. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I wish we could put us all into one line.
It would be great if we did have Simon here with, sometimes he's got a little scruff going on because you're pretty clean, that would be real transition.
Jay says, it's nice to meet you, not Simon. It's nice to meet you too. Scott said, I begged you to let me in the spot, and he threw a shoe at me. Yeah, I feel like this is more impressive. You guys should be impressed that I threw a shoe all the way to Minnesota. That's quite the arm. That's quite the
beautiful, arm. Beautiful thing.
Jordan with the JL, Josh, Matt. Jay, that sounds exactly like JL. It is JL. JL's also here. Oh, we got Jordan in here saying, sup, boys. What's up, Jordan?
What's up?
Scott Fish, which Chargers jersey is that? It's Mike Williams.
Mike Williams, Clemson. Let's go.
Who
else would it
Mike
be?
Williams.
Are there any other Clemson players on the Chargers?
Not that I know of. There could be maybe defensive or linemen
we figured
that
it out.
Not aware of. Scott,
listen, Scott.
Why isn't Josh coming to FSG? That's a good question. Josh, why don't you enlighten us?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You did ask, and I decided to stay here and hold down the fort. Maybe that's what it is.
I got to take that route. I like that.
Exactly. You know, they're leaving us, our lovely fans. So I decided to stay here, hold down the fort, and actually be a good, host of this podcast.
We'll most likely stream on Tuesday. Simon and I will join, and maybe we can convince Scott to join us. Maybe we'll do something fun, do like a special, in-person stream on Tuesday at I think it's the Dallas practice field is where we're staying. Something like that. That's
pretty cool.
All right, we got a question here from John. Yeah. Oh, and we're gonna hop into this mock draft pretty soon.
Very soon.
John asks, Dynasty startup, Deontay, Keenan, or Galladay. Matt, what do you think?
Oh boy,
that's a good question.
The first thing I like about my wide receivers is the ability to catch the ball. So Deontay's out. The second is I know we kind of bugged Keenan Allen pre-2019, having that injury history kind of thing, kind of following him, being injury prone, this and that. And I'm sure we would take shots at Kenny Galladay for not being able to stay healthy either. But for me, I love Keenan Allen. I love everything about Keenan Allen. I love his consistency. And with all due respect to Mike Williams hasn't taken over that true 1B type wide receiver role that we all thought he was capable of coming out of Clemson. So for me, I like where Keenan Allen's going. You've got yourself Justin Herbert, who likes to get Keenan Allen the ball. When Keenan Allen was hurt, Justin Herbert was forced to spread that ball around to those other targets, to Johnson, to Guyton, to these other guys, and he was successful in doing so. But when Keenan Allen's in that lineup, he wants to get Keenan Allen the ball. So for me, if I'm doing a startup, Deontay, his age is going to be appealing, but Ben Roethlisberger is not going to be there much longer. So you don't have that quarterback wide receiver tied in together. Kenny Galladay, Daniel Jones. I like Daniel Jones. I think Steffi Smalls says it best. Don't be hating on Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be a serviceable quarterback. I really do. But give me Keenan Allen tied to Justin Herbert going forward if I'm doing a startup right now.
Yeah. I've been working on my rankings lately. And my dynasty rankings, I'm pretty much complete here. Definitely for wide receiver, Keenan Allen is ranked well ahead of both these other guys. It's definitely Keenan Allen, even though the age, he's older than the other two. You mentioned that, Matt, but man, Keenan Allen with Justin Herbert, I am excited for this next season and the future, the next 3 or 4 years. I seriously think Keenan Allen can still be relevant because he's a guy that just catches the ball. He's a great route runner.
Great.
So I'm excited for Keenan Allen.
Yeah, me as well. It would be hard for me to take Galladay or Deontay over again. I might consider Deontay, but I don't know if the clock was on, I might just go Keenan, take those few years.
So let me ask you real fast, Matt. I just need to know, in the Pittsburgh wide receiver rotation, you got 3 receivers there. Who's your favorite?
You know what? I think we're going to have a Juju rebirth this year. I really think Juju is going to get back on it. It's going to be interesting to see how they spread the ball. I think Najee Harris is going to cut into a lot of those targets too. I think they're going to – we've talked about him already splitting out wide, factoring in the passing game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Najee Harris factor into the passing game a little bit more than what we're used to.
Yeah.
And then I just really think Juju's got it this year. I think – I'm not saying he's going to be huge, but I think, 8 touchdowns and 1,200 yards receiving is definitely in the realm of possibility for him.
I think he's going to have the most targets, actually, too. So, I mean, I believe he's going to play the slot the most. So, quick area targets. So I think
that hurts me. That hurts me not to take Chase Claypool, the fellow Canadian.
Cool.
I figured if we're pronouncing things wrong, I'm going to jump in here too.
Yeah, I love that. I love it.
They're all in the same tier, though. You know what I'm saying? Like Juju, Chase Claypool, Deontay. That's the order I'd put them in, though.
I've heard a lot of people say they'll take whoever is the last picked.
Yes, exactly.
Strategy. Scott Fish with a very good question before we start. What do you do when you have a viper in your front yard?
You kill the viper.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And the secret is, you see, you get a spade and shovel, and if you want to get rid of the viper, you got to cut the head of the snake off. Isn't that what we've always heard? You got to take the head off. So you got to get that snake out of there, man. Especially a viper, garter snake, or something useful. Maybe something's going to get rid of your prairie gophers, your prairie dogs. Maybe you let them hang around for a little bit and get rid of the pests. But other than that, you got to get rid of that thing.
So Matt,
that's why we're only here for so long.
Let me ask you this: you hit it with a shovel, you chop its head off, and it immediately grows another one. What do you do? What's your next move?
You burn the house down.
You move. Yeah, exactly.
Different country. You go south.
Don't burn the house down. Sell it.
if you've got snakes that are starting to regrow, regenerate heads like a salamander in its tail, you got to get out of there, man. There's something else bigger going on there.
The answer was a mock draft. Man, you guys are violent. Well, we were duped. We were thoroughly duped by Scott Fish. What up, NBA?
Speaking of the mock draft, let's get it
live yet. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this started.
Jay said something. February is a different story, though, right, Josh? Yes, it is. I will be there February. That's my plan. Let's go.
February? You're talking about January for Vegas?
Yeah. Is that February or January?
Yes, that's January.
All right. Well, Jay threw me off, so blame Jay here.
All right, we're getting this started here. Anthony said, "JL, is there a way to make the mock draft show Superflex rankings and player pool? I don't know if you can adjust at this point." I did adjust it. I didn't realize they added that. That is a new addition. They added 2 QB ADP. Yes. So I went ahead and changed that. It is updated now. We are good to go. Thank you. Great suggestion, Anthony.
I thought I was so smart when I slid into this because Simon sent me this a little bit early, and he's like, "Here you go. Here it is. Here's Superflex." So when I jumped in to take my draft position here, I was like, "Oh, this is showing only rookies. This is a rookie Superflex mock. All right, I like where I'm at. I'll take a little bit further down here." Yeah.
Yeah, that was my bad. I switched it up a little bit. Usually Simon comes up with it, but Simon is a little down and out from his vaccine. So
Simon ruining everything. No,
we're figuring stuff out. We're Josh and I are getting there.
No, we got this. We got this without Simon. It's not a big deal. And I'm actually not even in this draft, but I'm excited to watch you guys go at it. And Bash Brothers up right now. What position do you get, Matt?
Let's see. I think I'm sitting about number 9 right now is where I'm sitting at here.
Perfect. Oh, so you're Dingus.
I am Dingus.
It's such a good name, man. I love the word Dingus, by the way.
Old Dingus name.
Well, it's funny. So I got this at work back in the day. And so my occupation was a Zamboni driver by trade. And my boss
so Canadian. That's so Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got lumberjack jackets here and the big beard going. Cool. I'm about as Canadian as you can get here. But so we're talking one day, and it went from Matt Dominguez was a wide receiver for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He golfed with them. So it kind of went from Matt Dominguez to Matt Dingaling to Matt Dingas. That's kind of how it went. But the funny story is, Matt Donnelly, I was the only one who knew what the word dingus actually meant. So, which is ironic because it's someone people view as a fool if you look it up.
Yeah,
it's a material that's used in clay back in the old days. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I was the only one smart enough. The dingus was the only one that knew what dingus was, which was absolutely hilarious, which is the irony behind it all.
So I've always spelled dingus with a U and not an A.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm an ass. So the A made perfect sense in our situation.
Scott says now it's a top to bottom facial hair progression.
Yeah.
Switch Josh and I on, screw it all up.
So we got this Dynasty Superflex draft going on here. And as we typically see in these Dynasty Superflex 12-team drafts, we started out with a run of quarterbacks. We had Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, and Trevor Lawrence. How do you feel about this order so far, Matt?
It really doesn't
surprise. You're up on the clock.
I got a minute 50 here to talk.
Yeah.
So typically here, I would like to get one of those first group of quarterbacks that came through. I'm not as big on Trevor Lawrence. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think his confidence could get shook too as the season goes, depending on what kind of help he has. So right now I'm looking at Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson. We're talking dynasty here. So Aaron Rodgers is kind of out at this point. I know if I don't grab a quarterback here, I'm probably going to be in a lot of trouble. So I don't mind dealing with trouble, especially when I've got a guy like Saquon Barkley sitting right there staring at me. Punch in Saquon Barkley for me.
I like it. Listen, Saquon Barkley is definitely my second favorite running back for dynasty purposes. Regardless, he's my second favorite running back right now. We're changing the time of the draft here.
Yes,
60 seconds is good.
Yeah, I did not.
No, that's a good call.
Like it's a little shorter so we can get the stream in.
Now, can I ask you, Matt, if you were going to go quarterback here, who would you go?
So my number one quarterback, and everyone wants to go with Patrick Mahomes, and you know what? I can't argue Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But I'm a big Josh Allen fan. Give me that.
Really?
Give me that ability to throw the ball like a Patrick Mahomes, but give me the rushing ability as well. You got Singletary back there. You've got Zach Moss, who haven't been able to grab that backfield by the horns yet, and Josh Allen is the number one running back. Much like Christian McCaffrey. When you got Christian McCaffrey, you've got yourself a wide receiver and a running back in one. Yeah. Give me Josh Allen. I've got myself a running back and a quarterback in one spot. So
a goal line running back. He's definitely
a goal line back.
He's going to get rushing touchdowns every year, guaranteed.
So that's where my head's at there with Josh Allen. Now, no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be good. They've reworked that offensive line there a little bit in Kansas City after Tampa Bay totally exposed them in the Super Bowl. No one talks about offensive lines when they're talking about fantasy football, but that has a huge play in the whole grand scheme of things. And I'm glad to see they address that. So you could probably see a little bit more Patrick Mahomes letting it rip, have a little bit more time throwing it downfield. And we'll see how that all plays out. I really like Powell this year for the Chiefs. I think he could step in as a rookie and be a bit of a surprise for a lot of owners.
Yeah. No, I love that breakdown.
So you know what? I'm going to end up with like Sam Darnold and I don't know who. Those are probably going to be my quarterbacks, the way this board's shaping up right now.
So you're thinking you're really going to punt the position at this point. You just think that you're just going to, focus on the running backs and wide receivers right now and then worry about quarterback later.
I'm going to let the board kind of fall to me here right now. I got no problem if Baker Mayfield's my QB1. Not ideal, but I can live with myself. So when we're looking at here, I'm looking as a possibility here. I've got Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, both possible here. Nick Chubb, all good. Get that running back out of the way. I know running backs don't really matter. And then you got some great wide receivers here you're looking at right now. A.J. Brown's been the consensus number one, but you got DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is obviously a bit of a scare for me because of the situation currently in Green Bay. So I'm going to sit here. I'm probably going to regret this, but you can tell, you got yourself an older drafter when they go running back heavy at any draft they do. So that kind of shows my age here a little bit. You know what? I really was thinking about taking Nick Chubb, but we talked about having those players that can do both. As factor in like Christian McCaffrey, the receiving, and I'm going to punch in Alvin Kamara here because now I've got myself a receiver and a running back in one position here.
Oh, I like that pick a lot. Cal says, "Hey, you're the smartest dingus I know, Matt."
Yeah. There's not very many of us out there.
There's not very many of us out there. NBA with the good call. That helped. Yeah, good call. I did change it to 60 seconds, so we're good.
So I really liked what you said earlier, Matt. You said, you could do all the mock drafts in the world, but you never really know what's going to happen until it happens, right? So when you do a mock draft, don't try to do the same draft every time. Do something different. This is a mock draft. Well, I mean, you said you might want a quarterback there just in round one, but try to see what the running backs look like. You said running backs don't really matter. They matter if you're trying to win a championship. You're not going to win a championship without running backs. You can address the position later, though, right? So...
yeah, and you know what? You get enough running backs. You'll notice here, once we get out of the third round, if everyone starts tapping that running back, I'm in a draft with Hillel right now from Roto Underworld. It's 0 running back versus 0 wide receiver. And I'm on 0 wide receiver, so I've got running back. Well, we got to the point where in like the 7th round where now you can switch around and grab whatever position you want. So I went running back heavy the first 3, and then I went with Justin Herbert, grabbed a tight end and Mark Andrews to top off my top 5. Then I think I took David Johnson. This is where we're at right now in the 6th round. I took David Johnson in the 6th. And then in the 7th, when I could take another player of another position, I went Juju Smith-Schuster as my wide receiver 1, which is not a terrible wide receiver to get in the 7th round of a 0 wide receiver draft.
Is this a
but now you're watching. No, this is just like a little mock redraft.
Just making sure. I heard David Johnson round 6, and I was like, a little bit. No, but the redraft in Dynasty, yeah.
So now when you're coming back in that 7th round, when these 0 wide receiver or 0 running back guys are drafting, the running backs are less than ideal to say the least. So there's going to be some value to loading up on those running backs and trading them because we know how this is working. We know there's going to be some injuries to the running back position, and it doesn't hurt to load up. And especially in a dynasty situation, if you can get ahead of the everything here and you load up on these running backs, you can trade them on a shorter term. So I've used them for a year, use them for 2 years, turn around and trade them. You might be able to get yourself some good value coming back. Now, I love what Dan's done here, grabbing Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going to be, I think, Calvin, are you listening, Calvin? He's going to definitely outperform Taysom Hill this year. There's no doubt in my mind that Jalen Hurts outperforms Taysom Hill. I am not going to be shocked if Jalen Hurts finishes the season as a top 6 quarterback because of that Konami code thing. The strength of schedule in Philadelphia cannot be ignored as well. They've got a very easy schedule. And then again, when you're playing the NFC East, you got that little bit of an easier schedule to begin with, other than that defense in Washington. But these are guys that you really can get after. So I like the Eagles this year.
Talent around him. I mean, Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor last year. You know, they got up and coming tight end, great running back.
I heard someone at a bar, someone sitting next to me at a bar this weekend say, as an Eagles fan, saying how Jalen Hurts is just like Michael Vick, and I just was like, what? Like, just like on
it's
arm
hard
strength,
to make that comparison.
Yeah, on arm strength alone, like that was Hurts's like biggest concern in college was he didn't have the arm strength. Where Vic is amazing. You know, has had incredible arm strength. So I was just like shaking my head as I'm listening to this guy. You know, anyone who runs, I think, just gets automatically compared to Vic.
Yeah, that's not a fair comparison. We've seen Vic snap that wrist from his 4-yard line and drop it on the opposite 30.
Yeah,
we've seen that arm.
Ray GQ, I think, posted a video of Vic highlight the other day of him just from like the 5-yard line to like the 35, opponent's 35. Incredible.
I think there was a thing of him like throwing on his knees. He could throw it like 60 yards or something like that. Like,
yeah, not quite the same as Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me. Oh, dang. CeeDee Lamb is a good pick.
And NBA Rig came in here and said, "Are you sure Eagles has easy schedule? How so?" They just released like the strength of schedule rankings for teams, and I believe the Eagles came in last in terms of strength of schedule. So they had the easiest schedule, I believe. So to your point, Matt, I think that's probably what you were going off of, right?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely. I knew they had a top 5 when it came to the strength of schedule. Shout out to Calvin there, bringing the pun game with us. I wish I would have thought about that a little bit quicker there. So it hurts, but I have to die on this hill. So
nice.
So
nice.
Let me just real fast on the Jalen Hurts thing. I like him this up and coming year for a dynasty league, late second round. That might just be a little bit too early for me.
Yeah,
I'll just mention that just a little bit. And I usually love Dan's teams too. So
yeah, I'm looking at a situation here right now. We got Julie Jones there picking here. I'm sitting back and I'm like, man, I really think I should go quarterback. I really think I should get this quarterback. But I'm looking here and I see Derrick Henry and Antonio Gibson just staring at me. I know we're talking dynasty value here. And I'm like, oh, who do I grab here? Like the running back value. Yeah, there. Julie just took my pick there. I was going to go Gibson, go a little bit younger. Derrick Henry staring at me. Miles Sanders is there. Definitely tough to pass up on those type of options. Let's see what we got here. Wide receivers. It's not terrible.
Like Gibson, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a good pick for you for a dynasty league. But a couple different ways you could go here. You already have 2 running backs, but you just mentioned earlier, loading up on running backs could be beneficial because of that trade value. They dry up so fast.
They do. While you pick, Matt, quick reminder, hit that thumbs up, follow us on YouTube or subscribe to us on YouTube. Super easy way to support the show. We do mock drafts like this every week in the off season, and we also play games. We do like games every week. So
love games.
If you're new here, you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton.
DJ Moore off the board.
DJ Moore.
How does that make you feel, Matt?
I had a bunch of guys kind of booked in there together. We're talking here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, wide receiver 9. I think that's about where I want to go with him. Michael Thomas, I'm not too keen on there between Jameis Winston and Taysom Hills being the quarterbacks. Chris Godwin, as good as he was last year, he's still dealing with Evans a little bit. DJ Moore is in a bit of a different situation for me. He's got Sam Darnold there, so I think Sam Darnold's going to get him the ball. I like Christian McCaffrey coming back, which I think opens up more one-on-one situations. He did not have Christian McCaffrey. So when everyone was high on DJ Moore last year, but quickly came off him because for whatever reason, he just didn't quite get to where he needed to be. But I think a lot of that was the Christian McCaffrey being out of the lineup as well. it's not going to matter. I'm probably going to come back with a wide receiver here again, depending on how this board shakes out, because we are getting to that point where we're going to have to be talking about Deontay Johnson. We're going to be talking about Keenan Allen. We're going to be talking about Michael Thomas here in that same boat. So as we watch for Arsenal make this pick, I got to really take a look.
There are two wide receivers on the board that I'm very interested to see when they come off the board. And I think both of these wide receivers, I think, are perfect picks for you. And I don't want to name any names, ruin it for anyone. I'm interested to see if you pick one of the two.
So I'm leaning right now I think Washington goes out and gets themselves a quarterback eventually. So I think Washington's going to tie themselves to a younger quarterback eventually. But this year, Fitzpatrick, he's just going to be out there gunning and throwing that ball around. They also have enough cap room to make a move for Julio Jones, go opposite of a certain wide receiver who I'm going to select in the next 28 seconds.
Yeah.
But right now, they've got a guy there in Washington, Diami Brown, who is an excellent 1B, who can do a lot with a little, who can stretch the field because he is a deep ball threat. But I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin here to pair.
I thought it was going to be Curtis Samuel.
No.
I'm not messing around. Terry McLaurin was who I had in my mind. It was either him or Michael Thomas. Chris Godwin would be ranked right behind them for me. So I think Terry McLaurin was a steal there. Jay Wall following up with Michael Thomas. I think both of those picks are fantastic in the mid-4th round.
And I think if you look at it like Terry McLaurin, you can say, okay, DJ Moore might not have been a great pick in the 3rd, but think about this. Maybe I took Terry McLaurin in the 3rd. I took DJ Moore in the 4th. I'm comfortable with one of them being 1A, 1B. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't shape out that way. I did think Darren Waller to get myself that tight end to make that value-based drafting, VBD, just to kind of talk about that, get that best value there. But, I watched Kelsey come off. I watched Pitts come off. Waller was definitely an option. Now we're at that point where you didn't get one of those top 4 dynasty guys there. We've seen Hawkinson perform here the last couple of years. Is he number 5? Is Mark Andrews number 5? We really don't know who that 5th tight end is going to be. So I think we're at that point where it's like, you know what? Maybe we have to punt that position because we're not going to see anyone step in and fill that role here.
I think that makes sense.
We got a good question here from Charles Buda.
Yeah.
Julio rising or falling on draft boards right now. What do you think, Matt?
I think when we find out where he lands, we are going to see a situation where he's going to rise.
I agree.
For a time being, but I don't see him landing in a spot that's going to be as valuable as what Atlanta was for him.
Yeah.
I think the chemistry between Matt Ryan and Julio Jones is something we take for granted, I should say. We take that for granted, that chemistry they had between the two of them. So wherever he goes, as good as Julio is going to be, and I think we've seen him, he played with Calvin Ridley, so the 1A, 1B is going to be there. He's an alpha receiver that can play with the guy. He's also got the DeAndre Hopkins ability where it doesn't matter who's lined up opposite of him. He's going to still perform when healthy. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a rise in Julio's ADP, and then we're going to start to see a drop down again. As soon as a trade's made, as soon as he moves on, people are going to get excited. He's going to be in the news. We're going to hear Julio, which is going to bring him back up. And then a week later, it's going to come right back down to where we're used to him being.
Yeah. I think that was the perfect breakdown. I would say the same exact thing. I think his value will rise, but I don't necessarily think it's going to translate to the field. I think his best situation is Atlanta. But is it possible that he gets an improved situation and shows on the field? Absolutely, because he's an elite receiver that I think can succeed anywhere. So all in all, what I'm saying is I think he's valued appropriately still right now without anything changing.
Yeah, so in Dynasty. We had a good question from Mike here. He's deciding between Burrow and Jonathan Taylor at the 110. He went Burrow because him and Russ were only QBs he liked and thought both of them would go before he picked again. And there was a lot of good value in running backs. Thoughts? What do you think, Josh?
I think that was perfect decision. You got Joe Burrow. You came back around the corner. You got Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's not that much of a downgrade from Jonathan Taylor. I'd rather have Jonathan Taylor in a dynasty league. But if I had to bet which one's going to have a better season next year, I would pick Cook. So I think you did the right thing.
I think Jonathan Taylor is the better pick there, but when we look how the board fell to him, I think you're better off going, like you said, Burrow than Cook, if you believe in Burrow. I'm scared about that knee injury. It's going to be in the back of my head for at least a year until we can see him perform and get him back out there. I'm not worried about the injury. I'm worried about the mental aspect of it. You're in the pocket. You know that line hasn't been improved that much. You got bodies flying all around you. Where's Joe Burrow's head? How is he going to deal with that mentally? The skills are going to be there. I think he's going to be almost fully recovered by training camp. Talking to Jeff Mueller, he's kind of mentioned a few things about that recovery. But the mental thing is something we don't quite understand yet as fantasy analysts. We know the recovery time. We know what to expect. But how does a player, especially a young player, come back from that? We watch Sam Darnold get spooked by ghosts. It doesn't take much to get spooked. It doesn't take much to all of a sudden there's bodies flying around you and you're not quite ready for that. He should be good to go, but it's a little bit of a red flag for me. I probably would have went Jonathan Taylor, but there's no way you're going to go Jonathan Taylor and then in this situation, Jalen Hurts. Hurts and Taylor or Burrow and Cook, I guess. And I think Burrow and Cook is probably the better 1-2 combination. If that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
So now we're almost getting to that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's what I was saying.
We're almost getting to that point now where the running backs are getting kind of ugly.
Yeah.
For these guys who have gone 0 running back here, we look at G-Man J. He's looking at his RB1 looking being Kareem Hunt or David Montgomery. Are you comfortable with that? Probably, considering how he's kind of built that board up already. So I'm sitting here. We've seen Deshaun Watson go. Like, for me, Deshaun Watson is an absolute – it scares me. Right now, I want to get myself a quarterback. I want someone I think is going to start day one. I think Justin Fields has the ability to knock off Andy Dalton early in training camp. And I think, and here we go, here's the bold take with 30 seconds left on the board. I think Justin Fields is going to be a better quarterback long-term than Trevor Lawrence. I said it right there.
Fantasy or NFL? There's two differences there.
And I think the difference is Trevor Lawrence likes to stay in the pocket. Trevor Lawrence can scramble. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is pretty athletic and he can run. But I think Justin Fields is going to be able to move. He's going to want to look. He's going to sit there and look to pass, but he's not going to think about it too long before he takes off and gives us that Konami code.
Runner. Yeah, sub 4.40 runner. You know, he's fast, really freaking fast. So in terms of fantasy, speed kills. The cheat code is a rushing quarterback, and that's what you're going for here. I think that's the theme of your draft, kind of like get players that can kind of do more than one thing, right?
More versatile, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like finding players that are versatile.
That's for me. That's going to be the key. Like I said, we talked about quarterbacks, Josh Allen, who can run and throw the ball. Give me that at the quarterback position here. And in the late 5th, turning around to the 6th, I think that's pretty good value for Justin Fields. Now, I'm going to want to come back. I'm probably going to double up on. So I've got two running backs, 2 wide receivers. Guess what? I'm probably going to go 2 quarterbacks here, depending on how the rest of this board falls here.
Cool.
And I want to make sure I'm in a position here where I feel good about myself. And do I want someone who's consistent or do I want someone with more upside? That's going to be the question here. Do I want the consistency of a Matt Stafford and a Kirk Cousins? Yeah. Or do I want to go with more of an upside like Tua Tagovailoa? You know what I'm saying.
You got it.
I like that better, honestly.
So if you were just choosing between Lance and Fields, you would choose Fields, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I think Fields is going to end up being the best quarterback there because of the position in which he landed in. I think if Fields would have gone to San Francisco, Fields would have been the top one. Obviously, now we just saw Deontay Johnson and T. Higgins go off the board. Now I'm sitting here, Tua, if I want to go with that upside, or do I want to go with Kirk Cousins or Matt Stafford? Well, you know what? We know that Stafford and we know that Cousins are going to be where they're going to be. We know Matt Stafford's probably got a little bit more of a area to be in. Cousins, we think Minnesota could replace him, but we don't give Kirk Cousins a lot of love either. He's put up similar numbers to what Aaron Rodgers has, but we don't talk about Kirk Cousins the same way. And here we go. We got Aaron Rodgers sitting here. We don't know where he's going to be. So I'm thinking, you know what? I got 18 seconds. Aaron Rodgers is on the board. Do I want to take a chance with him? Probably. It's tempting, but you know what? I'm going to go with the young guy. Let's go with Tua.
Wow.
You know why?
A friend of the show, Jordan Richards, is up in here saying Dingus with the steal of the draft. Y'all really let Fields slip that far. I was considering it where I took Josh Jacobs, but I think Fields is a great value there. I would probably take him there over Lance. Round before.
I would have really liked getting Stafford there as well. I think Tua, it depends what direction you want to go. Tua's got, the youth, maybe a little bit more upside, but Stafford's got a lot of upside being what his age is in the new situation, improved situation, right? Yeah. So it depends what you're looking for.
So the late thought process there was, you know what? I like Tua and I like Stafford. I think they're pretty similar quarterbacks. I think Stafford's going to be better this year in redraft.
I agree.
But if we're looking at Dynasty, they just went out. They've got themselves Devontae Parker still there. They went out and got Will Fuller. They went out and got Jalen Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
Waddle has that chemistry with Tua.
They still have Gesicki.
You got Gesicki there. They went out and got Hunter Long. They're supporting him much like the Bills did with Josh Allen. They're getting him weapons. They're getting him toys to play with. But here's the thing. Here's what gets me really good. Last year, we were talking about Tua. He was kind of checking down a little bit, and that was a lot of concern. When you go out and you sign via free agency Will Fuller, and then you draft Jalen Waddle, you ain't checking down. You want to let that ball rip.
No, you're
going to let the old lefty warm up that old arm. He's going to get ready. I think they're going to let Tua go and let him throw the ball. They didn't address anything in the running game yet, unless you call Jared Dokes there the answer at the running back position. Go with Gaskins there, but they did. So they went on. They got him some weapons and young weapons. Will Fuller is still pretty youthful. Jalen Waddle for me, I better not say this because he hasn't come off the board yet. But Jalen Waddle for me is my wide receiver run in this rookie class. I don't care about Jamar Chase. He's good. He's talented. I think you could have made an argument for. I think you could have made an argument for Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and even Rashad Bateman as the wide receiver one. And I wouldn't have argued with you that much. But my preference is Jalen Waddle and what he can do once that ball is in his hands. Talking to Eric Crocker there, if you guys know the Croc report there, we talked about the wide receivers, Jamar Chase versus the Smith and the Waddle and what they can do to DBs. Who would you rather face? He'd rather line up against a guy like Jamar Chase, who's not quite as shifty as the Waddles and the Devontae Smiths. And if you got a guy like shifty like Jalen Waddle with the speed that Jalen Waddle's got, you can throw him a bubble screen on your own 5-yard line. We're talking about deep threats. You don't have to be a deep threat when you can take a ball from your own 5-yard line and take it to the house anytime. And that's what Waddle is.
He's crazy athletic. And Jamar Chase, for everything he does that's shifty, though, Jamar Chase is so smooth, it's like butter, it's I don't know what I'm even saying, but it just, when you watch him play, it just looks natural and right and correct.
Yeah.
So I love Jamar Chase, but I understand what you're saying,
I refer to Jalen Waddle as controlled chaos once the ball's in his hand, because he is going a million miles per hour, but he looks like he's in slow motion. Everything he's done,
I described him the same way.
It's impressive. It's like me at the dinner table with the kids. Like, everyone's talking, but here I am. I'm eating because I don't like to talk, and I know if I eat quick, I'm going to get seconds before anyone else. So it's quick, it's fast, but it's controlled because I'm not throwing food all over because I'm cheap and I don't want to waste the food.
I like that analogy. NBA I snatched James Robinson. Did I just smash this draft, fellas?
Let's see what you got going on here. Julia Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Jefferson, Antonio Gibson, Chris Godwin, James Robinson, Chase Claypool. Okay.
I think I'd rather have Hunt. I think I'd rather have Kareem Hunt or David Montgomery than James Robinson.
I agree. But it ends there. And then Chris Carson is going to have a fantastic year this upcoming year. It depends what you're going for there, like I like to say, but your team's young. You're looking for more youth there, obviously. You're building a fantastic team, NBA rigged. I really like this team.
Yeah.
I know David came in earlier. He said, which start do you like more, G-Man Jays or John Lukes? I am positive he asked that when you only each had one quarterback and 2 wide receivers. To be honest with you, JL, I do prefer G-Man Jays there just because I prefer the youth a little bit. But your team's more likely to win year one. Just looking at those first 3 picks, Dak Prescott over Justin Herbert, year one, absolutely. Devontae Adams over DK Metcalf, year one, absolutely. Stephon Diggs over CeeDee Lamb, year one, absolutely. But further on, a couple of years in the future, I'd rather have this one. That's how I prefer to build my dynasty teams, but you could go either way.
That's totally fair. Yeah, I think this falls into like the 3 to 4 year rule for me.
Yes.
I like all of these guys for the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Let's see. G-Man J is up. He's on the clock. I am next. Nick with the sup, JL. Sup, Nick. Shane with Josh, JL, Matt. You got it. You nailed all 3.
So how do you feel about your team so far, JL? I like it. I mean, you just got Aaron Rodgers last round. You got your 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, just like Matt's doing. I'm feeling good about both of your guys' teams. I like how they're stacking up so far.
Yeah, I feel like I typically don't draft this way. Like you said, it's a little bit older, but I'm really liking this team. I think it's a win now team. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be good regardless of which team he's on. Devontae Adams, if he stays in the Packers, my team looks stacked this next year. I'm on the clock here. Let me pick real quick.
Yeah, go for it. I loved where you got Joe Mixon and Josh Jacobs. I think they were both values. Josh Jacobs in the middle of the 5th round. I understand the Drake situation, everything going on with the Raiders. I think Josh Jacobs is a steal where he's getting drafted. How do you feel about Josh Jacobs, Matt? You like Josh Jacobs?
I'm a Raiders fan and an Alabama fan. Well, I'm not the person to be asking this question. I love Josh Jacobs. I love Josh Jacobs. I just don't trust Gruden. I really don't.
Yeah,
he's up to his antics again. He's talking about Josh Jacobs being an MVP caliber running back, but you're not going to use him like an MVP caliber quarterback. That's a running back. That's what the problem is. You went out and you rewarded Josh Jacobs by bringing in Kenyon Drake. Now, are they going to use Kenyon Drake as a wide receiver, much like they were trying to maybe get Lynn Bowden to do last year? I don't know. So now we're sitting here, and I'm like, okay, I went 2 young wide receivers early. Do I want to go out and grab myself a little bit of Julio Jones here?
Oh,
that is
thought about it.
And we were just talking about it. We think his value is going to go up, right?
I'm thinking we're sitting in the 7th round. Julio's here. I've got 2 good young wide receivers already in place. I've got a good older set of running backs who got a couple years left in them. I got 30 seconds on the clock. I got 2 young quarterbacks. So I know I'm going to be set a quarterback for a while. I know I'm going to be set a wide receiver for a while. So I'm at the point here where I could take a little bit of risk it, no biscuit, Bruce Arians. So you know what? Let's see how everything shakes out. Let's put Julio on
Julio.
That's what mock drafts are about.
Exactly.
Now, would he have possibly dropped? Possibly, because we don't know where he's going to end up. And he's probably going to end up in a situation not as good as what he's in now. But you know what? Maybe I make a trade maybe I draft him right now. And then I find out that JL's a huge Patriots fan. And he ends up in New England.
A Patriots fan.
I guarantee you, I'm going to get Julio. Maybe if I liked Amari Cooper. Maybe I could trade Julio for Amari Cooper and get a little bit younger at the wide receiver position. Maybe I could capitalize on wherever he lands. Because we know as soon as someone gets traded, their name is in the media. We start talking about them. We start talking about them, talking about them. Their value is going to go up. So maybe Julio here for me is an opportunity for me to make a trade later on down the road.
Yeah. Sean says, Mayor Jabroni, trying to do a more balanced draft with this mock. Not crazy about Hockenson, but if I didn't get him there, I was going to wait till final round. I think that's a perfect spot to get Hockenson. I think he wouldn't have made it back to you. And to me, there's a giant tier break. I probably would have taken Hawk over Andrews even, but there's a clear tier break after Hawk, at least in this draft.
Yeah, I probably would take Hawk over Andrews too, but they are a tier for me. It's the first 4 tier. Hawkinson and Andrew tier, like Noah Fant, and maybe one other guy I'll throw in with Noah Fant. But yeah. So after that, so you're not really worried about tight end at this point, Dingus?
No, I'm thinking about it right now. I've got some options here still. Guys I view in that same area: Dallas Goedert, Irv Smith, Jonnu Smith. Those are guys I all like here.
And then you really want upside with like guys, Cole Kmet or Troutman, or even I'm not going to go Pat Freiermuth. That's a little early for him, I'd say. But
I am going to go tight end here. I'm going to grab Dallas Goedert right now, just to see how that all shakes out. Zach Ertz is going to leave. I like that idea here. I think compared to where these other tight ends are going, there's good value in that. I really wanted Jalen Waddle, and Anthony took him on me there. So I was like, I thought, put Waddle in there. Yeah. I thought that I just talked him up. I should have went with him above Julio, but I thought, if I don't go Julio, someone else is going to grab him. I thought maybe I could wait a little bit on Jalen Waddle. Obviously, that backfired on me, and there was my other option. There was Robert Woods, who is every year disrespected in drafts.
I know.
Everyone loves him. Everyone loves him in the community. You talk to anyone.
I get him in every redraft value. The last 3 years, redraft leagues. I'll take him.
Yeah, me too.
best late round value wide receiver, Robert Woods. Everyone talks about him. And guess what? He keeps going late in every round, every draft. It baffles my mind.
So Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp?
It's Robert Woods. It really is Robert Woods.
Me too. Dynasty like Cooper or Kupp. Redraft. I like Robert Woods better in both formats.
I think Robert Woods gives you, here we go again, he gives you those jet sweeps, those running plays, those rushing yards on top of it. He's probably going to get more touches, not targets. Cooper Kupp's going to get a lot of targets. If you're in PPR, I can see the argument because Cooper Kupp is a PPR machine. We've watched him finish in top 8 just up a couple of years ago in PPR because
Woods is going to be on the field more than Cooper Kupp, though. I will say that.
Yes.
Especially recently, they've been taking Kupp off the field, especially for running situations.
Tyler Higbee, right?
Yes.
Last year when we seen a lot of Tyler Higbee, when Higbee came in, was having a success, it was at the expense of Cooper Kupp.
Yes. That's what makes me so nervous for Cooper Kupp, honestly, is just he's not going to be on the field as much. So I think he's going to be fine. He's going to have plenty of catches, and he's a touchdown guy. You don't see many slot guys that are also touchdown guys. He's a pretty big guy. He's like 6'2", so he'll be fine with Stafford.
So go
ahead, Matt.
I like looking at this draft board now because I went Barkley and Kamara in the first 2 rounds. If I choose not to go that route and I wait, there's a good chance that my 2 running backs are going to be, at this point, Chubb maybe in the second round. I might be able to get Chubb in the second round, or Cook, or no, I wouldn't have been Cook. But I wouldn't have got my second running back. Would have been probably Antonio Gibson would have been my RB2, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I'm not a fan of Edwards-Helaire. So I'm glad I got those 2 stud running backs early that are going to be PPR backs as well.
That's something I think we've found over the course of doing mock drafts every week, is that if you're not getting your running backs in the top 2, 3, 4 rounds, you're not getting very good running backs.
I think you're getting decent. Antonio Gibson was probably the last good value. J.K. Dobbins scares me. They tendered Gus Edwards, and I love Gus. Gus Edwards is one of my favorite running backs.
Second round tender.
They believe in him. The Ravens believe.
I'm a Ravens fan, by the way.
Me too.
Oh, excellent. So they're not going to go away from Gus the Bus. I love Gus Edwards. He's one of my favorite. When you look at his numbers and his breakaway and stuff like that at Rutgers compared to Saquon Barkley's at Penn State, they're eerily similar. If you look at the broken tackles missed, forced, all those other kind of analytical stuff, it was kind of crazy. I really like Gus Edwards. I think he's just as good, if not better, than J.K. Dobbins. There's a little bit of a hot take, I guess.
I'll fight you there. But
I will fight you there too.
Yeah, I will literally fight you. No,
but you can't tell me, if you look at the numbers, look at the touches, look at the yards per carry, him and Edwards and Dobbins are pretty close to the same. It's scary how similar, and they're going to lose touches to Lamar Jackson. So for me, I'm not comfortable taking Dobbins there because there's too much uncertainty. I think Gibson's the last value you really want to touch base with on the running back position. Aaron Jones there in the 4th is good value. Obviously, Derrick Henry in the 4th is good value there as well. A little bit of surprising, Ezekiel Elliott dropped to the 3rd, but Cam Akers there. Dan just nailed one. I love Cam Akers. Last year, he was my running back 1 out of the draft class. I had him above Jonathan Taylor last year. So I love Cam Akers and everything about him.
Before the draft, he was my 3rd favorite running back. It was DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, and Cam Akers. And then J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Antonio Gibson. He wasn't very high pre-draft. But I'm right there with you. I love Akers. Once he had some to learn still, I think, coming into the NFL. And I think he did a lot of learning last year, his first year in the NFL. And we saw that later in the season. They were trying to make him the featured back. He dealt with an injury here and there. I think he's going to be the featured back for the Rams in a much improved offense with Matthew Stafford now. JL, he got Kirk Cousins. He took his 3rd quarterback. Are you the first one to take 3 quarterbacks? You are. I think that was a good call, probably, because you never know when the runs are going to go, right? And Kirk Cousins, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, you might need Kirk Cousins.
He might. I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan, but he'll do what he does. He'll get you enough points.
He'll do what he does.
Yeah. NBA asks, why would Hunt have more dynasty value than James Robinson? Hunt is older and sharing backfield with stud Chubb. James Robinson dominates carries. This is about draft capital and situation. James Robinson is in a precarious position, undrafted rookie. Well, he's not a rookie anymore, but he was undrafted as a rookie. It's just they're not going to have the same loyalty to him. He's running back. It's more disposable. Kareem Hunt, to me, it's also about talent. Kareem Hunt is just more talented than James Robinson. James Robinson benefited from the situation that he was in last year. I wouldn't expect anything similar this year, even if they didn't draft ETN. Sorry, but they did draft ETN in the 1st round. That is terrifying if I'm a James Robinson owner.
And if Hunt does gets out of Cleveland, which I expect him to do very soon, actually, next year. he's going to be the lead back somewhere, in my opinion, and probably going to just have more value than James Robinson. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough road for James Robinson from here on out.
Yeah.
And I'm the president of the James Robinson fan club. He is. I loved him. I loved him coming out last year out of Illinois State. He's one of my favorites. The difference between James Robinson right now and Kareem Hunt is Kareem Hunt has a defined role. We know what Kareem Hunt is going to do. We know he's going in his third down. We know this. We don't know what James Robinson is going to be like with ETN in the fold. We don't know how that dynamic's going to work out yet. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. ETN, they didn't waste a first-round pick to have a guy sit on the bench, unfortunately. And can ETN and J-Rob, can they coexist? Absolutely, they can coexist. Can they have a Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins dynamic? Absolutely, they could have that dynamic.
We just don't know.
But we just don't know what it is yet. So I would rather have that certainty right now than have that uncertain kind of thing. And we know what Kareem Hunt can be. If Kareem Hunt is the man, if Chubb goes down, you know you got an RB1. And we know if ETN's out for any time, we know J-Rob can fill the boats and be an RB1. He did last year because Jacksonville is all about the volume. Nothing's changed in Cleveland. Jacksonville's got themselves a new quarterback. They've got themselves some new toys there, some wide receivers. Marvin Jones is in the fold. So we think that there's going to be a little bit of change there in Jacksonville that I would rather just take a wait-and-see approach, especially if I'm in a dynasty startup. I don't hate James Robinson, and I'm not in love with Kareem Hunt, but those are just a couple things that I'll be taking a look on.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest Kareem Hunt fan myself, so I'm looking for running backs that are going to be the starter for their team. So but James Robinson and Kareem Hunt, they're in a very similar situation. James Robinson's probably more likely to be the starter, going into the year and maybe throughout the year. It's just we don't know that, But they're in the same tier in my mind. I would just take Hunt first, Montgomery, maybe Carson. But then, you're finding yourself in the James Robinson territory, right where you drafted him.
So Anthony, with at this wide receiver run.
So I'm going to put a kibosh here on the wide receiver run here. We had a huge one going on there. I went off. I'll talk about my Derek Carr pick here. The Raiders had a top 10 offense last year. Good value there. I like having him as that consistent number 3 quarterback. We're talking super flex. I can put him in my lineup here and there. But I'm about to make a pick here in the 10th round. I'm going to go back to the running back. I left it blank for a while, Barkley, Kamara. And I'm sitting here, and Damian Harris is staring at me. I know how we feel about the Patriots backfield. I'm thinking right now, I'm obviously going to punch Damian Harris in here as my RB3. Ramondre Stevenson, they brought him in. I think he's going to be a short yardage guy. I think he's going to factor in. I think Sony Michel is going to be a cap casualty when it comes down to it. I think he's a guy who could be cut. If you're looking for a late round guy to draft, Sony Michel might be that guy because he could end up back with Brian Flores in Miami when he gets cut from New England.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So that's a guy to watch. And I think Damian Harris has that RB2 upside. And here in the 10th round, I just got myself a potential RB2 here that I can punch into my flex position, which I'm very comfortable with. And he's just going to be my bye week guy. I don't need a guy to start every week. I just need someone to start when Barkley and Kamara need a breather.
I think I am the resident Damian Harris lover on this live stream here. I agree. I think he's also a good pass catcher. I know they still have James White, but Sony Michel's not that guy. I think we know that now. Stevenson, the guy that he's a power runner. Damian Harrison. He has a role for this team regardless, and he could be the guy. So I like Damian, especially here in the 10th round. I mean, it's why not, right?
And he's still young. He's only a couple of years removed from his rookie season, so he's not like we're talking like a 5th-year starter here. We're talking about a guy who's been around for only 2 years, so. I'm okay, especially in a dynasty startup this late. I think it's a good value. I don't know if it's a steal, but I know it's a good value. I feel it's a good value.
I agree.
Thought about that pick, Jay. Thought about going Samuel there.
But you went Terrace Marshall instead, who has all the upside in the world in my mind.
All the upside, yeah. I'm going for upside here.
Yeah. How do you feel about Terrace Marshall, Matt?
I had him as my wide receiver 4.
Really?
Obviously, teams were scared off by the medical, the rechecks on that, the leg concerns. He is what I would consider him and Jamar Chase as alpha-type wide receivers that fit my size speed model. Like, I have a certain type. Like, if we were going deep into a draft, like super deep, like from this year's rookie class, I am loading up on all the Michael Strackens, Jalen Camps. Jonathan Adams Jr. These are my type of guys. Give me a big, freakishly athletic wide receiver. Terrace Marshall checks that box, especially when you look at this wide receiver class. Outside of Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall, the big athletic wide receivers aren't really there. It's a lot of
few and far in
slot
between.
Guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've talked about this. There's so many slot guys. Once you get past like Terrace Marshall, what you look at like Nico Collins, like the next guy that projects that way. And I don't know. He's
my cousin.
So I love that breakdown. I agree with you 100%. I prefer having that bigger bodied, faster, that wide receiver that can be the dominant one for their team over a slot guy, but slot guys tend to get a little bit, maybe more targets. So both can succeed.
Yep.
So Mac Jones.
That's a good. I like that Mac Jones. I think he is going to be the quarterback in New England sooner than later. I love Mac Jones. I love everything he does. He doesn't have that big arm, but he's got a good, accurate arm. And if they somehow land themselves a Julio Jones when it's all said and done, guess what? Mac Jones's value is going to go through the roof. Julio's name brand is going to carry that. They've got some good pieces there. That offense with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, who I don't think we've seen either one of those guys come off the board yet at the tight end position. Nelson Aguilar. You've got some weapons there in New England. I think Mac Jones could end up beating out Cam Newton sooner than later because even Cam Newton, that arm is not quite what it used to be.
No. So let's say Julio Jones doesn't go to the Patriots. Who do you like there in terms of pass catchers? Like Nelson Aguilar? Which tight end do you like more? I have trouble kind of trying to decide myself.
With the tight end position there in New England, I think you're really I don't think you're going to have to decide between one or the other to get in your lineup. I think they're both going to play half a season because they both are getting hurt a lot. Hunter Henry, I've had Hunter Henry on so many of my teams right now that it's just broken my heart over and over and over again. It's basically a Groundhog Day with Hunter Henry. Yeah. Jonnu Smith, I think, is the guy you're going to see. He is the guy who can he does a better job in the blocking game. He's a freak of nature when it comes to strength. He's going to add a lot of red zone presence. I think Jonnu Smith is the guy to own there in New England. I think he's going to be the number one option. I think Nelson Aguilar, if he can still remember how to catch like he did in Vegas, I think he's going to be a good value here later on in drafts, rounds 14, 15. I think Nelson Aguilar is going to be a good value there.
Eagles fans must be so mad at Aguilar.
It is, and he just had that one bad season right before his contract came up, really. When he first came in, he was making some plays and doing what he needed. Yep. And then he got that rebirth in Vegas. And let's see if it keeps going in New England there, because if he can keep that going on, they've got some options there to work with. Denzel Mims, love that, Julie. Fantastic pick right there. I was looking at Denzel Mims myself because I think he is going to be the alpha in Gotham. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the guy to own there. Yeah. He's my pick. Right now, though, I'm sitting here. I'm like, kidding. We're in round 11. I need some upside here. I need some guy that could possibly come in. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, man, Nyheim Hines, pass catcher. Gus Edwards would be kind of fun just because, you know what? Because I believe so much in Josh Jacobs, and I know Gruden's going to find a way to make me cry.
Hey, okay. So can you explain that? You said because you believe so much in Josh Jacobs, you draft Drake.
Whenever I believe in something, it's going to bite me in the ass, right? It's how it works. That's how fantasy works. Once you think you know what's going on, once you zig, someone else zags. And Gruden is the master of that. They didn't bring Kenyon Drake and pay him that kind of money to not play a factor. And I'm sitting here now as I feel comfortable about my youth. I want some guys that can contribute possibly right away. I think Drake is you're going to see him and Jacobs on the field at the same time, possibly in the slot. You talk about taking Josh Jacobs there in the 5th round as being a value. Well, I just got the guy who's going to split carries and split touches with him in the 11th. Right. So I'm feeling pretty good about the value. I don't love Drake. I hate the fact he's there in Vegas. I love myself some Josh Jacobs. So I'm going to make sure that, hey, you know what? I'm at that point here. Maybe I got an RB2 here late. And I'm going to kind of walk home and say, that's a good pick. So we're going to see what that goes with. I've got my 3 quarterbacks. I don't need to tap into that again. Some of those options were there, but you're looking at now Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Lock, Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater. Me and JL, we went out. We got our quarterbacks. We feel good. Cousins and Derek Carr are starting to look like values right now. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm up here again.
They are. They really are. There goes Jonnu.
There goes Jonnu. Tony Pollard.
That's probably where my next pick was going. Was Jonnu here just because I'm Dallas Goedert. I probably should get that second tight end.
There's a couple tight ends I really like here.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. If you miss those first 4, don't force yourself to take a tight end right away. You got some value coming back in. We've known this. These 0 tight ends, it never works out for any of us who wait on tight ends. It doesn't. So try and load up as much as you can because any tight end you're going to go with is not going to work.
I'm thinking back to the startup dynasty draft that JL and I did like 4 years ago. I played this strategy. I grabbed like 4 or 5 different tight ends, and I wound up with Kittle. I think he might have been the last tight end I drafted. But to your point, load up. If we're going more, I think it's our last round, right? Yes, and there's only 5 seconds, maybe.
So for that, I'm just going to go and get myself a stack. Just because you got to go get your guys. If we were going longer, I probably would have kept punting that tight end position. You got Hunter Henry, Evan Ingram, Tunyon still there, Austin Hooper, Logan Thomas. These are guys who can be serviceable. I've already got Dallas Goedert in place. So now I needed that tight end just to kind of hold the fort. And you know what? I felt Cole Kmet would have been a fun pick here. But typically I would have gone out, and I know there's some guys still coming up here. Darnell Mooney's a guy I would have been targeting. Robbie Anderson, maybe Mike Williams here as my 4th wide receiver. Looking at this board, T.Y. Hilton's here, Slayton, Marvin Jones. These are guys you could use as a 4th wide receiver that I probably would have gone before Cole Kmet if we were going a little bit deeper, but I wanted to make sure Cole Kmet got a little bit of respect on the show.
Absolutely. No, I mean, you were just talking about Fields earlier. You expect him to be the best quarterback from this draft class. He's going to have the supports and weapons during that process. Pair him with Cole Kmet. That's an exciting prospect.
Well, let's talk about the Bears there. You got yourself Allen Robinson's in place. That's great. You've got yourself Darnell Mooney. He done well last year in his thing. Anthony Miller's still there. I think he could still be a cap casualty as well. He could be a cut. But he could be a trade guy. So he's got some value there as well. Cole Kmet's there. Always. Who's a favorite target? Allen Robinson's going to get himself. Allen Robinson is like DeAndre Hopkins. He's matchup proof. Allen Robinson's never had a quarterback. Right? He's never had a quarterback.
This might be his best quarterback ever. Justin Fields, right away.
He's had Mitch Trubisky. He's had Blake Bortles, and now he gets Justin Fields. So Robinson's going to get his. But who's always a number 2 option or a good security blanket for a young rookie quarterback? It's that tight end position. It's Cole Kmet here. Who, you know what, Jimmy Graham, just go away, Jimmy Graham, go away. Let Cole Kmet live. So maybe Jimmy Graham needs to die so Cole Kmet could truly live. And I think that's where we're at here.
He's dead in my mind. Does that count?
I know. And
here's Jimmy.
I'm that guy that has Jimmy Graham still in all my teams because I wait too long to trade a guy away, and then I'm stuck with him, right? So you can't cut him because someone else is just going to pick him up. Yeah. So you're like, now I got to just keep you on here and. Thanks, NBA Rigged. I'm glad to be on here, man.
I completely agree.
Yep, NBA can't wait for you guys to analyze this draft. Donnelly, please come back again soon. We love you here. We do love you here soon. We'll definitely have to have you come back on soon, Matt. This is a pleasure.
Yeah, I like to talk. That's the problem. You got to kind of cut me off and jump in there and stuff like that.
No, you were perfect.
This is what we're looking for. We get tired of talking all the time, and having someone else, bring in their knowledge is what we're looking for. What everyone's kind of looking for.
Well, let's back up. You use the word knowledge. That's a very loose translation here.
You're stuff in your brain. The stuff going around in there.
Stuff in your brain.
My audible words. My audible words.
You're great at audible words. Yeah.
Well, we did it. 12 rounds, Superflex Dynasty. Mock draft here. That was fun. I'm sure Simon and Josh or some combination of us will put out a mock draft review video in the next few days, just like you got last week. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. This was fantastic. Everyone, make sure you go follow Matt at Matt Donnelly FF. Go check out all the stuff he's doing over there at Dynasty Vipers. It's fantastic. If you've been watching us, you saw Tara last week. Cal's been on. Major's the next one. We got to get him on. But yeah, thank you so much again for coming on, Matt.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Absolutely. I love it. Anytime, just give me a call there. And by all means, make sure you get Major on here. Dude's smart. Check him out on Clubhouse. I know JL, I know you're big onto Clubhouse.
Yep.
You've probably crossed those Clubhouse chat room, mean streets with him. Him and Tara are both up and comers in this fantasy community. And then Calvin does a great stuff with us and with DLF. So if you want to make sure, catch him over at DLF. Here I am promoting everyone else. Head over to dynastyvipers.com, the Vipercast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because we really love the support that we get over there. It takes 30 seconds to click that subscribe button. Then you can just kind of mute us and walk away. That'd be great. Just hit that subscribe button. Make me feel good about myself. Obviously, the Vipercast. We got some big guests coming on this morning. Check out the show. We had Mike Clay. We've hit 3/5 of ESPN this month already with Matt Berry, Stefania Bell, and Mike Clay. I think a progressive commercial right now with 3/5 of NSYNC, but we've got that covered. We've had Dave Richard on, Mike Taglieri's come on this month. Tomorrow,
Mike Tags.
Tomorrow is Justin Boone from The Score. The 31st is Scott Fish, and then in June we've got Jake Seeley, John Daigle stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So some guy we just grabbed off the chat room here. But yeah, we've got Jake Seeley and John Daigle are coming on in June, and we got many more coming as well. So
All-star lineup.
All-star, yep.
Yeah,
and
just go into the YouTube channel and absolutely make sure you hit that Behind the Grind series. You want your favorite analysts? We've probably got them already on there, so make sure you check that out and let us know what you think because we're always into it. And I'm working with the idpguys.org. We've got our draft magazine coming out right away, so go check that out. They've got it on their website. It's our rookie magazine, and you can see who I believe in this year, like Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 1.
I love that. Please, I really hope that's the truth. I just want to will that into existence because I did not get any Jamar Chase. I only got Jalen Waddle in my rookie draft. So please.
And that's the worst. The worst thing ever is when you're an analyst and you put your rankings out, they get used against you all the time.
Yeah.
I don't mean like some guy saying you had Waddle as your wide receiver 1. No. I mean, the guy picking in front of me is like, I got Dingus's.
Pull up Dingus. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he wants Jalen Waddle next pick, huh? Interesting.
Good to know.
It's so fun. One of my buddies, I've been doing a league with him since high school for 20 years now, almost. And he ranks for Fantasy Pros right now. And whenever I do a draft, we always do a live draft every year. I print out his rankings. I don't actually use them. I just love to get in his head. I got your rank. I know you're drafting. So it's just
I love that.
To your point there.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Matt. Make sure you, if this is your first time watching us or you haven't yet, please go subscribe to us on YouTube, Front Yard Fantasy, Twitch as well. Find us on Twitter at Front Yard FYF. You can follow Josh and I individually, FYF Josh, FYF John Luke. And if you want to, Simon, I think he's just tweeting out cough sounds right now. So probably not super interesting, but maybe in a couple of days follow him. Anything else? Josh, I know you have something you want to say.
Hey, Matt, trading makes fantasy fun. Did you know that?
I've heard that rumor. I've heard that.
Heard that.
It does. I mean, we all know. Now you know. The more you know.
The more you know. Well, thank you so much. We will see you all tomorrow. We're here every weekday, 3 p.m. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time, playing some probably poll perception. I don't know.
It seems like a good poll perception day. We're doing poll perception.
All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Mondays. Goodbye.
Love you guys.